The alarm goes off, and immediately you reach for your phone. Congratulations, you just lost the battle for your day before you even got out of bed. You just chose to let Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and every person who posted overnight determine your first thoughts, your first emotions, your first energy. You just decided that their agenda is more important than your agenda. Their priorities are more urgent than your priorities. Their lives are more interesting than your life. And this isn't just happening to you occasionally. This is happening to you every single day. You're literally training yourself to be reactive, to be distracted, to be controlled. You're programming yourself for failure and wondering why success feels so difficult. Let me tell you something that changed my life forever. I was 25 years old, broke, watching my dreams slip away. One morning, sitting in my tiny apartment, staring at bills I couldn't pay, I noticed something profound. The sun was rising, and I was already defeated, not by the day ahead, but by how I had chosen to begin it. Most people lose their lives, not in the big moments, but in the small ones. They lose their lives not in dramatic failures, but in quiet surrenders that happen before the world even wakes up. They give away their power, their potential, their very essence in those precious first moments of each day. Then they wonder why nothing changes. Here's what I learned that morning, and what I want to share with you today. Your morning routine is not just about what you do before breakfast. It's about who you become before the world gets a chance to tell you who you should be. It's about claiming ownership of your mind, your energy, and your direction before anyone else gets a vote. Think about this for a moment. Every single day, you get a fresh start. Every morning, you wake up with the same 24 hours that were given to every great person who ever lived. The same hours that were given to Lincoln, to Edison, to every person who ever made a difference in this world. But here's the difference between those who succeed and those who struggle. The successful ones understand that the battle for the day is won or lost in the first hour. I remember when I first started studying successful people, I noticed a pattern. They all had something in common. It wasn't their education, their background, or even their natural talents. It was how they began their days. They had rituals, disciplines, habits that they followed regardless of how they felt, regardless of what was happening in their lives. They had claimed ownership of their mornings. But most people do the opposite. They wake up and immediately check their phones. They start their day responding to other people's priorities. They begin each morning in reaction mode, then wonder why they feel like they're always behind, always catching up, always responding to life instead of creating it. Let me ask you a question. When you wake up tomorrow morning, who's going to be in control of your first hour? Is it going to be you, or is it going to be your phone? Is it going to be your priorities or everyone else's? Is it going to be your dreams and goals or the urgent demands of a world that never stops asking for your attention? The morning is when you set the tone for everything that follows. It's when you decide whether you're going to be proactive or reactive. It's when you choose whether you're going to lead your day or let your day lead you. And make no mistake about it, this choice you make every single morning will determine the quality of your entire life. I've seen people transform their entire existence simply by changing how they spend their first hour. I've watched individuals go from struggling and frustrated to successful and fulfilled, not by making dramatic changes to their careers or relationships, but by making small, consistent changes to their morning routine. Success is about small disciplines practiced every day. And there's no discipline more important than owning your mornings. When you own your mornings, you own your days. When you own your days, you own your weeks. When you own your weeks, you own your months. When you own your months, you own your years. When you own your years, you own your life. But here's what most people don't understand. Owning your morning doesn't mean you have to wake up at 4 in the morning like some kind of superhuman. It doesn't mean you have to become someone you're not. It simply means you have to become intentional about how you begin each day. It means you have to decide that your first hour belongs to you, not to the world. For years, I would wake up and immediately dive into the day's demands. I would check my messages, respond to calls, jump into problems that needed solving. I was busy, but not productive. I was moving but not making progress. I was working but not winning. The reason was simple. I had given away my power in the first hour of every day. The moment I started protecting my mornings, everything changed. Not overnight, but gradually, consistently, powerfully. I began to notice I was calmer during the day. I was more focused, more creative, more effective. I was responding to life from strength instead of weakness, from choice instead of obligation. Your morning routine is like compound interest for personal development. The benefits might not be obvious immediately, but over time they create extraordinary results. Every morning you invest in yourself, you're making a deposit in your future. Every morning you give away to distractions and other people's priorities, you're making a withdrawal from your potential. And here's the beautiful thing about mornings. They're democratic. Rich or poor, young or old, experienced or just starting out, we all get the same fresh start every single day. We all get the same opportunity to begin again, to choose differently, to create momentum in the direction of our dreams. But you have to be intentional about it. You have to plan for it. You have to protect it. Because the world will try to steal your mornings. Your phone will try to steal your mornings. Your fears and worries will try to steal your mornings. Everyone and everything will try to claim those precious first moments of your day. Don't let them. Those moments belong to you. They're your opportunity to connect with your purpose, to align with your values, to prepare your mind and body for the challenges ahead. They're your chance to be proactive instead of reactive, to be intentional instead of accidental, to be the author of your day instead of just a character in someone else's story. The morning is when you feed your mind with positive input before the world feeds it with negative input. It's when you strengthen your body before the day weakens it with stress and tension. It's when you clarify your priorities before the urgent drowns out the important. It's when you connect with your purpose before the day disconnects you with its demands. I want you to think about the most successful person you know. I guarantee you that person has a morning routine. They have rituals, habits, disciplines that they follow consistently. They understand that the battle for success is won or lost before most people even wake up. Now think about the most frustrated person you know. The person who always seems to be behind, always stressed, always reactive. I guarantee you that person has no morning routine. They start each day in chaos, and then they wonder why their life feels chaotic. The difference between these two people is not talent, not luck, not circumstances. The difference is how they begin each day. One has taken ownership of their mornings, and the other has given their mornings away. Which one are you? Which one do you want to be? Because the choice is yours, and you get to make it fresh every single morning. Your morning routine is your daily opportunity to invest in yourself before you invest in others. It's your chance to fill your own cup before you pour into everyone else's. It's your moment to strengthen your foundation before you build your day upon it. And let me tell you something else. The way you do your mornings is the way you do everything. If you're disciplined in your morning routine, you'll be disciplined in your work. If you're intentional in your morning routine, you'll be intentional in your relationships. If you're consistent in your morning routine, you'll be consistent in pursuing your goals. But if you're chaotic in your mornings, you'll be chaotic in your life. If you're reactive in your mornings, you'll be reactive in your decisions. If you're undisciplined in your mornings, you'll be undisciplined in your efforts to create the life you want. The morning is your practice ground for the day. It's where you rehearse the person you want to be. It's where you prepare for the challenges you'll face. It's where you build the mental and emotional strength you'll need to handle whatever comes your way. When you own your mornings, you're not just changing your schedule, you're changing your life. You're not just adding activities to your day, you're adding power to your existence. You're not just getting up earlier, you're rising to a higher level of living. So let me ask you again, are you ready to own your mornings? Are you ready to take control of your first hour? Are you ready to start winning your days before they even begin? Because if you are, everything else will start to change. Not immediately, but inevitably. Not dramatically, but definitely. Not perfectly, but powerfully. The choice is yours. The opportunity is in front of you. The power is in your hands. All you have to do is decide that tomorrow morning you're going to begin differently. You're going to choose differently. You're going to live differently. Because when you own your mornings, you own your life. And when you own your life, you can create anything you want. The question is, what do you want to create? And when are you going to start? The answer to that second question should be tomorrow morning. Because every morning you wait is another day you give away. Every morning you postpone is another opportunity you lose. Every morning you surrender is another step away from the life you're capable of living. But let me tell you what happens when you don't own your mornings. Let me paint you a picture of the life that awaits those who start each day in surrender. You wake up to the sound of your alarm, already running behind. Your first instinct is to grab your phone and check your messages, your social media, your email. Within minutes, your mind is flooded with other people's priorities, other people's problems, other people's agendas. You haven't even had your first cup of coffee, and you're already responding to life instead of creating it. You rush through your morning routine, if you can even call it a routine. You grab whatever's easiest for breakfast, throw on whatever clothes are clean, and head out the door already feeling behind. You're starting your day from a place of scarcity instead of abundance, from a place of reaction instead of action, from a place of weakness instead of strength. And this feeling follows you throughout the day. You're constantly playing catch-up. You're always responding to the urgent instead of focusing on the important. You're managing your time instead of managing your energy. You're working in your business instead of working on your business. You're living your life instead of designing your life. By the end of the day, you're exhausted. Not because you accomplished great things, but because you spent your energy on things that don't matter. Not because you moved closer to your dreams, but because you moved further away from them. Not because you grew as a person, but because you gave away your power to grow. And then you go to bed, promising yourself that tomorrow will be different. But when tomorrow comes, you repeat the same pattern. You wake up in the same reactive state, you start your day in the same chaotic way, and you wonder why nothing changes. This is the life of someone who doesn't own their mornings. This is the existence of someone who gives away their power in the first hour of every day. This is the reality for millions of people who wonder why they feel stuck, why they feel frustrated, why they feel like they're not making progress toward their goals. But it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to live this way. You can choose differently. You can start differently. You can own your mornings, and by doing so, own your life. I've watched people break free from this cycle. I've seen individuals transform their entire existence by making one simple change. They decided to own their mornings. They decided that their first hour belonged to them, not to the world. They decided to be proactive instead of reactive, intentional instead of accidental, creators instead of victims. And the results were remarkable, not because they changed everything about their lives, but because they changed the most important, how they began each day. They changed their morning routine, and their morning routines changed them. You see, when you start your day in reaction mode, you're training yourself to be reactive. When you begin each morning by responding to other people's priorities, you're programming yourself to be responsive. When you wake up and immediately dive into the chaos of the world, you're conditioning yourself to live in chaos. But when you own your mornings, you're training yourself to be proactive. When you begin each day by focusing on your priorities, you're programming yourself to be intentional. When you wake up and create space for yourself before engaging with the world, you're conditioning yourself to live with purpose. Your morning routine is not just about what you do. It's about who you become. It's not just about how you start your day. It's about how you approach your life. It's not just about your first hour. It's about your entire existence. And let me tell you about the ripple effects of not owning your mornings. When you start your day in chaos, that chaos spreads to every area of your life. When you begin each morning in reaction mode, you become reactive in your relationships, reactive in your career, reactive in your personal growth. You become someone who responds to life instead of creating life. You become someone who manages problems instead of preventing them. You become someone who follows instead of leads, who settles instead of strives, who survives instead of thrives. And the most tragic part is that this becomes your normal. You get used to living in reaction mode. You accept chaos as your reality. You resign yourself to a life of constant catch-up, constant stress, constant struggle. But here's what I want you to understand. None of this is necessary. None of this is inevitable. None of this has to be your reality. You can choose a different path. You can create a different life. You can own your mornings, and by doing so, the successful people I've studied understand this. They know that the battle for the day is won or lost in the first hour. They know that their morning routine is not a luxury, but a necessity. They know that owning their mornings is the foundation of owning their lives, and they protect their mornings fiercely. They don't let anything or anyone steal those precious first moments. They don't check their phones immediately upon waking. They don't dive into their email first thing in the morning. They don't start their day by responding to other people's emergencies. Instead, they use their mornings to prepare for the day ahead. They use their first hour to align with their purpose, to clarify their priorities, to strengthen their mind and body. They use their mornings to be proactive instead of reactive, to be intentional instead of accidental, to be creators instead of victims. And the results speak for themselves. They're calmer, more focused, more productive. They're more creative, more effective, more successful. They're living their lives instead of just surviving them. They're creating their destiny instead of just accepting their circumstances. This could be you. This should be you. This will be you if you decide to own your mornings. But you have to make that decision. You have to take that step. You have to claim that power, because no one else will do it for you. No one else can do it for you. The world will not give you permission to own your mornings. Your phone will not encourage you to ignore it. Your responsibilities will not suggest that you take time for yourself first. You have to decide. You have to choose. You have to act. And you have to do it tomorrow morning, because every morning you wait is another day you give away. Every morning you postpone is another opportunity you lose. The choice is yours. The power is in your hands. The opportunity is in front of you. What are you going to do with it? Now, let me tell you what a winning morning looks like. Let me show you the elements that transform ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Let me share with you the components that turn your first hour into your most powerful hour. The first element is silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of fullness. Not the silence of avoiding the world, but the silence of preparing for it. Not the silence of weakness, but the silence of strength. You see, silence is where wisdom lives. Silence is where clarity comes from. Silence is where you connect with your deeper self, your higher purpose, your true priorities. But most people are afraid of silence. They fill every moment with noise, with distractions, with the chatter of the world. But successful people understand the power of silence. They start their day with it. They use it to center themselves, to ground themselves, to prepare themselves for what lies ahead. They use silence not as an escape from reality, but as a preparation for it. In those quiet moments, they reflect on their goals, their values, their vision for their life. They think about what they want to accomplish, what they want to become, what they want to contribute. They use silence to align their actions with their intentions, their behavior with their beliefs, their daily choices with their long-term dreams. And here's what happens when you start your day with silence. You become more thoughtful throughout the day. You become more intentional in your actions. You become more aware of your reactions. You become more connected to your purpose. But if you start your day with noise, with distractions, with the chaos of the world, you carry that chaos with you. You become reactive instead of thoughtful, scattered instead of focused, disconnected instead of aligned. The second element is movement. Not necessarily intense exercise, but intentional movement. Not necessarily a full workout, but some form of physical activity that gets your blood flowing, your energy moving, your body prepared for the day ahead. Your body and mind are connected. When you move your body, you energize your mind. When you strengthen your body, you strengthen your resolve. When you discipline your body, you discipline your character. Successful people understand this connection. They use physical movement as mental preparation. They use exercise as a way to build not just physical strength, but mental toughness. They use their morning movement to create momentum for the day. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a walk around the block, some stretching, a few push-ups, or a full workout. The key is consistency, not intensity. The goal is to wake up your body and prepare it for the challenges ahead. When you start your day with movement, you're telling your body and mind that you're ready for action. You're creating energy instead of depleting it. You're building strength instead of weakening it. You're preparing for success instead of settling for mediocrity. The third element is feeding your mind, not with the negative news of the world, but with positive, educational, inspiring content. Not with the problems of others, but with solutions for yourself. Not with entertainment, but with enlightenment. Your mind is like a garden. What you plant in it will grow. What you feed it will flourish. What you allow into it will influence everything you think, feel, and do. Successful people are very careful about what they put into their minds, especially in the morning. They understand that their first mental input of the day will set the tone for all their thoughts that follow. So they choose to feed their minds with content that inspires, educates, and motivates them. This could be reading a book that challenges your thinking, listening to a podcast that teaches you something new, or reviewing your goals and vision for your life. The key is to fill your mind with positive, productive content before the world fills it with negative, destructive content. When you start your day by feeding your mind with good content, you're programming yourself for success. You're preparing your mind to think constructively, to see opportunities instead of obstacles, to focus on solutions instead of problems. The fourth element is planning. Not just making a to-do list, but creating a strategy for your day. Not just listing tasks, but prioritizing them based on their importance to your long-term goals. Not just being busy, but being productive. Most people start their day without a plan. They wake up and react to whatever comes their way. They respond to the urgent instead of focusing on the important. They manage their time instead of managing their priorities. But successful people understand that a day without a plan is a day wasted. They use their morning time to think through their day, to prioritize their tasks, to align their actions with their goals. They don't just manage their time. They design their day. And here's the key. They do this planning before the world starts making demands on their time. They create their strategy before they start executing it. They decide what's important before everything becomes urgent. When you start your day with planning, you're taking control of your time instead of letting time control you. You're being proactive instead of reactive. You're working on your priorities instead of just working on whatever comes up. These four elements, silence, movement, mental feeding, and planning, form the foundation of a winning morning routine. They're simple, but they're powerful. They're basic, but they're transformative. They're easy to understand, but they're life-changing to implement. And here's the beautiful thing about these elements. They don't require a lot of time. You don't need hours to implement them. You can create a powerful morning routine in just 30 to 60 minutes. The key is consistency, not duration. The goal is daily practice, not perfect performance. But you have to be intentional about it. You have to plan for it. You have to protect it. Because the world will try to steal your morning time. Your phone will try to distract you. Your responsibilities will try to overwhelm you. Everyone and everything will try to claim those precious first moments of your day. Don't let them. Those moments belong to you. They're your opportunity to prepare for success, to align with your purpose, to strengthen your mind and body for the challenges ahead. And let me tell you what happens when you consistently implement these elements. You become a different person. Not overnight, but gradually. Not dramatically, but definitely not perfectly, but powerfully. You become calmer in the face of stress. You become more focused in the midst of distractions. You become more productive despite the demands on your time. You become more successful because you're more prepared. You start your day from a place of strength instead of weakness, from a place of choice instead of obligation, from a place of proactivity instead of reactivity. And this changes everything. Your relationships improve because you're showing up as your best self. Your work improves because you're bringing your best energy to it. Your personal growth accelerates because you're investing in yourself consistently. But none of this happens by accident. None of this happens automatically. None of this happens without your conscious choice and consistent action. You have to decide that you're going to own your mornings. You have to choose to implement these elements. You have to commit to making them a part of your daily routine. Now you have to start tomorrow morning. Not next week, not next month, not when you feel ready. Tomorrow morning. Because every morning you wait is another day you give away. Every morning you postpone is another opportunity you lose. The elements are simple. The choice is yours. The power's in your hands. What are you going to do with it? But let me address something right now. You might be thinking, Jim, this sounds great, but I'm not a morning person. Or I don't have time for all this. Or my life is too complicated for morning routines. Let me tell you something about excuses. They're like weeds in the garden of your potential. If you don't pull them out, they'll choke out everything good you're trying to grow. And the I'm not a morning person excuse is one of the most common weeds I see in people's lives. Here's the truth about being a morning person. It's not about your natural tendencies. It's about your chosen habits. It's not about your personality. It's about your priorities. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. I wasn't actually a morning person either. I used to stay up late, sleep in when I could, and start my days in a rush. But I learned something important. Your natural tendencies are not your destiny. Your current habits are not your permanent reality. You can change. You can adapt. You can become the person you need to be to create the life you want. And becoming a morning person isn't about changing your entire personality. It's about changing your evening routine. It's about going to bed earlier so you can wake up earlier. It's about preparing the night before so your morning can be smooth. It's about making small adjustments that create big results. The key is to start gradually. Don't try to wake up 2 hours earlier tomorrow morning. Start by waking up 15 minutes earlier, then 30 minutes, then 45 minutes. Give your body time to adjust. Give your mind time to adapt. Give yourself time to build a habit. And here's what I've learned about habits. They're like compound interest. The benefits might not be obvious immediately, but over time they create extraordinary results. Every morning you wake up a little earlier, you're investing in your future self. Every morning you implement your routine. You're building the foundation for your success. Now let me address the I don't have time excuse. This is perhaps the most common excuse I hear, and it's also the most revealing. Because when you say you don't have time for a morning routine, what you're really saying is that you don't have time to invest in yourself. You don't have time to prepare for success. You don't have time to become the person you want to be. But here's the truth. You have the same 24 hours that were given to every successful person who ever lived. The same hours, the same minutes, the same seconds. The difference is not in the amount of time you have. The difference is in how you use the time you have. And the most successful people I know are the busiest people I know. They have demanding careers, families, responsibilities, obligations, but they understand something that unsuccessful people don't understand. They understand that they don't have time not to have a morning routine. They understand that investing 30 to 60 minutes in their morning routine saves them hours throughout the day. They understand that starting their day with intention makes them more efficient, more productive, more effective. They understand that owning their mornings gives them more control over their entire day. So the question isn't whether you have time for a morning routine. The question is whether you can afford not to have one. Can you afford to start each day in reaction mode? Can you afford to give away your power in the first hour? Can you afford to live your life instead of designing it? And let me address my life is too complicated excuse. I understand that life can be complicated. I understand that you might have young children, demanding jobs, challenging circumstances. I understand that your situation might be different from others. But here's what I've learned about complications. They're not obstacles to success. They're opportunities to become more creative, more disciplined, more committed. They're not reasons to give up. They're reasons to become better. Some of the most successful people I know have the most complicated lives. They have big responsibilities, difficult challenges, complex situations, but they don't use their complications as excuses. They use them as motivations. They don't let their circumstances determine their choices. They let their choices determine their circumstance. And they find a way to own their mornings despite their complications. Maybe they wake up 30 minutes before their children wake up. Maybe they use their commute time for reflection and planning. Maybe they adapt their routine to fit their circumstances. The key is not to have a perfect morning routine. The key is to have a consistent morning routine. The goal is not to eliminate all complications. The goal is to create some space for yourself despite the complications. And let me tell you something about setbacks. They're going to happen. There will be mornings when you don't feel like getting up. There will be days when your routine gets interrupted. There will be times when you fall back into old patterns. But successful people understand that setbacks are not failures. They're learning opportunities. They're chances to recommit, to adjust, to improve. They're reminders of why the routine is important and what happens when you don't follow it. The key is not to let a setback become a give-up. The key is to get back to your routine as quickly as possible. Don't let one bad morning become a bad week. Don't let one interrupted routine become an abandoned routine. And here's something important about building new habits. They take time to stick. Research shows that it takes anywhere from 21 to 66 days to form a new habit, depending on the complexity of the behavior and the individual. But here's what I've learned from my own experience and from watching others. The habit becomes easier with time, but it becomes powerful with consistency. So be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be persistent with yourself. Don't expect perfection immediately. Don't demand instant results. Just focus on consistency. Just focus on showing up. Just focus on doing the work. And prepare for success by preparing the night before. Lay out your clothes. Prepare your reading material. Set up your exercise equipment. Charge your devices. Do whatever you can to make your morning routine as smooth as possible. Your evening routine is the foundation of your morning routine. How you end your day determines how you begin your next day. If you go to bed late, you'll struggle to wake up early. If you go to bed stressed, you'll wake up stressed. If you go to bed without preparing, you'll wake up unprepared. So create an evening routine that supports your morning routine. Go to bed at a reasonable time. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Read something positive or inspirational. Reflect on the day's accomplishments and lessons. Prepare for the next day. And here's something else that will help you maintain consistency. Find an accountability partner. Share your commitment with someone you trust. Ask them to check in with you regularly. Report your progress to them. Let them encourage you when you're struggling and celebrate with you when you're succeeding. Accountability is a powerful force for change. When you know someone is watching, you're more likely to follow through. When you know someone is counting on you, you're more likely to show up. When you know someone believes in you, you're more likely to believe in yourself. But remember, the accountability partner is there to support you, not to replace your own commitment. They're there to encourage you, not to motivate you. They're there to help you, not to do the work for you. The choice is still yours. The responsibility is still yours. The power is still yours. And let me tell you about the role of faith in building new habits. I'm not talking about religious faith, although that can be important too. I'm talking about faith in yourself, faith in the process, faith in the possibility of change. Building new habits requires faith because you have to believe in results you can't see yet. You have to trust in benefits you haven't experienced yet. You have to commit to a process before you see the outcomes. But this faith is not blind faith. It's faith based on evidence. It's faith based on the testimonies of others who have walked this path before you. It's faith based on the universal principles of success that have worked for thousands of years. The evidence is clear. People who own their mornings are more successful than people who don't. People who have morning routines are more productive than people who don't. People who start their day with intention are more effective than people who start their day in reaction. So have faith in the process. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in the possibility of change. And let that faith carry you through the difficult moments, the challenging days, the times when you don't feel like continuing. Because the results will come not immediately, but inevitably. Not dramatically, but definitely. Not perfectly, but powerfully. And when they do, you'll understand why owning your mornings was one of the best decisions you ever made. The obstacles are real, but they're not insurmountable. The excuses are common, but they're not acceptable. The challenges are difficult, but they're not impossible. You can overcome them. You can push through them. You can rise above them. But you have to decide that you're going to. You have to choose to find a way instead of finding an excuse. You have to commit to solutions instead of settling for problems. You have to believe in your ability to change instead of accepting your current limitations. The choice is yours. The power is in your hands. The opportunity is in front of you. What are you going to do with it? Now let me paint you a picture of what your life will look like when you consistently own your mornings. Let me show you the transformation that awaits you when you make this commitment. Let me share with you the life-changing results that come from this simple but powerful discipline. First, you'll notice a change in your confidence. When you start your day by keeping promises to yourself, you build self-trust. When you begin each morning by doing what you said you would do, you strengthen your belief in your ability to follow through. When you consistently show up for yourself, you develop an unshakable confidence in your capacity to create change. This confidence will ripple into every area of your life. You'll speak up more in meetings because you'll trust your voice. You'll take on bigger challenges because you'll trust your abilities. You'll pursue your dreams more aggressively because you'll trust your commitment to see them through. But this confidence doesn't come from arrogance or false bravado. It comes from evidence. It comes from the daily proof that you can do what you say you're going to do. It comes from the consistent demonstration that you have the discipline to follow through on your commitments. And here's what I've learned about confidence. It's not something you feel first and then act on. It's something you build through action. It's not something you have and then use. It's something you develop by using it. It's not a prerequisite for success. It's a result of success. So when you own your mornings, you're not just improving your morning routine. You're building your confidence. You're not just changing your first hour. You're changing your entire self-concept. You're not just starting your day differently. You're becoming a different person. Second, you'll notice a change in your energy. When you start your day with intention instead of reaction, you preserve your energy for what matters most. When you begin each morning by feeding your mind with positive content, you program yourself for optimism. When you consistently move your body, you increase your physical vitality. This energy will carry you through the day. You'll be more alert during meetings. You'll be more present with your family. You'll be more creative in your work. You'll be more resilient in the face of challenges. But this energy is not just physical energy. It's mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy. It's the energy that comes from living in alignment with your values. It's the energy that comes from working towards your goals. It's the energy that comes from being true to yourself. And here's what I've learned about energy. It's not something you conserve by doing less. It's something you increase by doing more of what matters. It's not something you protect by avoiding challenges. It's something you build by facing them with preparation and purpose. So when you own your mornings, you're not just managing your energy, you're multiplying it. You're not just preserving it, you're producing it. You're not just using it, you're renewing it. Third, you'll notice a change in your relationships. When you start your day from a place of strength instead of weakness, you show up differently in your interactions with others. When you begin each morning centered and prepared, you respond to people from a place of calm instead of chaos, from a place of intention instead of reaction. Your family will notice the difference. Your colleagues will see the change. Your friends will feel the shift. You'll be more patient with your children because you started your day with silence and reflection. You'll be more creative in your work because you fed your mind with positive content. You'll be more present in your conversations because you're not constantly thinking about what you need to do next. And here's something beautiful about this transformation. When you change, you give others permission to change. When you show up differently, you inspire others to show up differently. When you model discipline and intentionality, you encourage others to develop discipline and intentionality. You become a positive influence simply by becoming a better version of yourself. You lead by example without saying a word. You teach without preaching. You inspire without trying to inspire. Fourth, you'll notice a change in your productivity. When you start your day with planning, you work on the right things instead of just working hard. When you begin each morning with clarity about your priorities, you focus on what matters most instead of what's most urgent. You'll accomplish more in less time because you'll be working with intention instead of just working with effort. You'll make more progress toward your goals because you'll be consistent in your actions. You'll create more value because you'll be focused on what's important. But this productivity is not about being busy. It's about being effective. It's not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. And here's what I've learned about productivity. It's not about time management. It's about priority management. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing everything that matters. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Fifth, you'll notice a change in your long-term results. The benefits of owning your mornings compound over time. Every morning you invest in yourself, you're making a deposit in the bank of your future. Every morning you start with intention. You're building momentum towards your goals. 6 months from now, you'll be amazed at how much you've grown. A year from now, you'll be astonished at how much you've accomplished. 5 years from now, you'll be grateful for the decision you made to own your mornings. Because success is not about the big moments. Success is about the small disciplines practiced every day. And there's no discipline more important than the discipline of owning your mornings. This is your opportunity. This is your chance. This is your moment to decide that you're going to take control of your mornings, and by doing so, take control of your life. But you have to act. You have to choose. You have to commit. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. Understanding without implementation is just intellectual exercise. Insight without execution is just good conversation. The information I've shared with you today is worthless unless you use it. The strategies I've outlined are meaningless unless you implement them. The vision I've painted is empty unless you make it your reality. So let me ask you one final question. What are you going to do tomorrow morning? Are you going to wake up and immediately check your phone, diving into the chaos of the world? Are you going to start your day in reaction mode, responding to everyone else's priorities? Or are you going to wake up and own your first hour? Are you going to start your day with silence, movement, mental feeding, and planning? Are you going to begin each morning as the author of your day instead of just a character in someone else's story? The choice is yours. The power is in your hands. The opportunity is in front of you. But you have to decide. You have to choose. And you have to start tomorrow morning. Not next week, not next month, not when you feel ready. Tomorrow morning. Because every morning you wait is another day you give away. Every morning you postpone is another opportunity you lose. Every morning you surrender is another step away from the life you're capable of living. Your mornings are too valuable to waste. Your first hour is too powerful to give away. Your opportunity to own your day is too important to ignore. So make the commitment. Make the choice. Make the change. Decide right now that tomorrow morning you're going to begin differently. You're going to choose differently. You're going to live differently. Because when you own your mornings, you own your life. And when you own your life, you can create anything you want. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you will do it. The answer to that question will determine everything. It will determine your confidence, your energy, your relationships, your productivity, your long-term results. It will determine whether you spend your life responding to circumstances or creating circumstances. So what's it going to be? Are you going to own your mornings, or are you going to give them away? Are you going to win your life, or are you going to let your life slip away one morning at a time? The choice is yours. The power is yours. The life is yours. What are you going to do with it? Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, you have a choice. You can hit snooze and give away another day, or you can get up and take control of your life. You can check your phone and start reacting, or you can own your first hour and start creating. The person you become, the life you build, the legacy you leave all depends on what you choose to do in those first 60 minutes. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for tomorrow. Your transformation starts with tomorrow's sunrise. Make it count.